Detroit Business Hub Group Director Nancy O'Neill works with her team of experts. Listen to conversations with business professionals to discover the latest business innovations, insights, and trends. Find out what's hot and what's not in today's business market.
Hi, everyone. I am Nancy O'Neill. I have on the show with me today Robin Barnes, who is a broker owner of Latitude Real Estate, Latitude Luxury Real Estate. So with that, I'm going to let Robin go ahead and further introduce yourself.
Yes, I am the broker, like Nancy said, and thank you for having me, Nancy. Latitude Luxury Real Estate. Also, I work with investors and also different landlords, things of that nature. We do a full scale property. We do also do commercial, but our specialty is luxury real estate. We are in the Metro Detroit area and in Detroit, and we are, full service. Whatever you need, we got it. We buy, we sell, we do it all. So, and we've been around for like 20 years now. So
That's awesome.
Since 2012. So that's about 10 years. Yeah.
Yep. And Robin and I are also personal friends. We actually used to be in another group called Akriba together.
Yes,
so we connected through Shannon Steele's event. I was like, oh, Robin, I used to see you on the RSVP list. So what are you doing here?
Right.
So it's great to reconnect, and Robin's doing great things in real estate. So before we get started with tonight, we are going to be talking about the COVID-19 renters moratorium. And just so you all know that I'm not politically biased, we have commentary from both political parties, Republican and Democrat. So I don't want anyone to think I'm being biased. I really don't talk about politics a whole lot, but if you're going to talk about real estate and things like insurance, legislation does come up. So we do have to discuss it at some point. I don't take sides either way. I'm actually very interested to see what Robin is going to say tonight. Our speaker on Thursday will be speaking from a different party. So like I said, I try to be as unbiased as possible with my journalism background. I don't really talk about my own political party. I don't really have one. I voted Democrat and Republican before, but Robin and I have had some very interesting discussions about politics. So like I said, I'm interested to see what she's going to say tonight. And I also wanted to get her feedback from her being in real estate. So Robin, we're going to start with, I think everyone is aware that the COVID-19 moratorium is lifted for renters. So Robin, because you're with this hands-on so much, can you explain the moratorium a little bit more in detail? Just so I have an understanding and our viewing audience has an understanding of it as well.
Yes.
What did all entail?
Right. No problem. The eviction moratorium was set up during the COVID in 2020, during COVID. It was set up so that it could kind of restrict people from moving around because, the country was locked down. So what they did was, since they couldn't work, people still had to pay the rent. So they said, okay, well, you can't work. So we got to do this a moratorium so that, they would be able, if they needed to have extra time, they wouldn't have to worry about trying to pay rent. Okay. So that's how it started off as.
Now, were people receiving like supplemental vouchers, or was it just totally free, or were they getting discounts? How did it all break down?
Well, okay. So how it broke down was originally how it was written was that the eviction moratorium was supposed to allow you to stay there, and it was supposed to give the landlord. So let's say you didn't have any, that you didn't have no way of working, you could fill out application and send it in and let them know that you needed to have rent, and they will send it to you so that you can send it to your landlord. Okay. So that's how it was initially done. But of course, with everything as fast as it was happening with COVID-19, Congress couldn't get everything pushed out fast enough. Even though we wrote it quickly, you couldn't push everything as fast, just like the stimulus checks. We wrote everything fast, but you couldn't push it out as fast as what you wrote it, because there's just so many different governmental loopholes that you have to go through in order to get things done. It's not just like in the private sector where we say, okay, we're gonna just get his money. It can't do that in government. Because you got the checks and balances. And it makes sense. I mean, you just got the checks and balances. So it's not just as fast. So it was written, but getting it implemented and getting all the departments on hand and getting them ready to handle such a flush of housing from the whole nation was a little much. So it just took a lot. And so once they finally started getting everything set up with a HUD and everything, they finally got it. And so what happened is that you have landlords who were helping or telling their renters or their tenants that, hey, if you can't pay, I need you to sign up for this, and the government will pay. Okay. All right. And I think that's kind of probably where there was a lapse, because what we did was we trusted the tenants to say, okay, well, the government
sign the form.
Yeah, they figured they will fill it out and they will pay the tenant. They will pay the landlord. What we're now hearing from landlords is that for 18 months that did not happen.
You mean that the tenants did not fill the form out?
They rather did not fill it out. Okay. They rather did not. They rather did not fill it out, or they rather did not give it to them.
Okay.
Okay. So if they didn't fill it out, then if they got the money, they just didn't give it to the landlord. So
you're saying the funds didn't even go to the landlord; they went to the tenant.
They went to the tenant.
Oh wow!
Right.
That's a big mess.
Yeah, and so then a lot of it, and then too, you had the landlord who was trying to get the tenant to fill it out. Okay.
Right.
But if that tenant was getting, at that time I think we was getting the $600.
Right.
Right. On top of everything, because the whole country was shut down. So he was getting the $600 plus whatever you got from unemployment. But if you were an individual who was getting state assistance, you got that too. So you got all this money, so you really couldn't get, you had to be like not getting anything in order to get that rental.
And some people are getting on unemployment on top of that. And
unemployment.
What is that? Up to $600 a week.
Nancy, people get paid.
Right. You making more money not working than going to work. It's like, that's why all these people, they can't hire anybody now. Everybody want to stay home now.
Right. You just answered your own question. You done gave me more money than what I was getting working. Well, guess what?
Exactly.
I ain't gonna work,
Right.
So that's what was going on. So it was a trust factor, I do believe. In hindsight, I'm my party, we're good with the moratorium. That wasn't the issue. We created it. It was created under Trump. That whole thing was part of the with the whole with the whole COVID,
stimulus
the whole project, the whole thing.
Yeah.
So the stimulus checks, all of that was all written in there. The issue is that, well, of course, as you listen to your landlords, some of the tenants were not being up on the up and up. So what they would do, they rather would not fill it out for the landlords, because the landlords could fill it out, but there was a section of it that the tenant had to fill out, sign and fill out. So it was all based on the tenant getting the money so that it could go to the landlord. That's not what's happening. What you're hearing now is that for 18 months, you got people staying for free. They done spent all the money. Okay.
Well, how did this work if they never signed it, or the landlord did?
They never got the money. Well, they didn't need it. So if you didn't fill out if you didn't fill out the whole thing, then if like I said, if the landlord said, I need you to fill this out, and the person, well, I'm getting $4,000 a month. I'm not going
right. Why should I give you money?
Right. I'm not going to give you any. And then I think also there was a stipulation that if you were getting any of the other monies, you probably couldn't get this too.
The full amount. Yeah.
You probably couldn't get the full amount. So they, instead of them cutting off what they were getting, they said, I'm just not going to fill out the paperwork for the landlord. And so that left a lot of small landlords. And trust me, the issue here isn't the big landlords. The issue is the small landlords and those small companies. And I think what we need to really truly understand is that those smaller landlords, they are the ones that rent to people who don't have the credit probably where it needs to be an income. Maybe their income isn't at the top of the line. things of that nature. Where if you go to like an apartment complex, they're going to do a credit check. They're going to want your job. They're going to want your driver's license. They're going to do a background check. They're going to do all of these things. So the smaller landlords is really like the crust of that rental housing for urban America that can't quite get into regular apartment living or regular housing living. They do a lot of Section 8, some of them, which if you had Section 8, they was good because Section 8
is the government anyway.
Okay, so they were fine. But the ones that don't do the Section 8, which is a huge bulk, because during 2009, when we were doing the foreclosures, you had a lot of people who bought houses, and not only did they buy them for themselves, but they turned around and bought enough so that they could send out, they can lease them out, right? So it gave them a portfolio. So, and you had a lot of people from overseas, from different countries who came here because back in that time, we had the cheapest foreclosure houses.
Yeah, that's still happening today. You have people all over the world purchasing real estate in Michigan, like in Detroit.
Right, in Detroit.
Where else are you? What other state are you going to go and buy? Some of these houses cost $1. They just wanted to get rid of the real estate. Where else can you buy a house for $1?
Right. It was crazy. I mean, you had people coming in from Egypt,
all over the world. Like literally, right now it's over exaggerated.
Right. I've had all types of different, groups that were coming from different countries buying property. Yeah. So they bought in huge masses of property.
Yeah, some people were buying like entire blocks. They were buying multiple blocks at a time. Mm-hmm. Like,
right, because you got to think too, land bank wasn't really set up then either. You know what I'm saying? So you didn't have that competition of land bank getting all the properties first, and then putting out what they want in small amounts. So anywho, that's what happened. So the landlords didn't get paid. So you got some landlords who have not been paid for 18 months.
Well, let's be clear, like with the whole PPE and, the payroll protection program, PPP, the mom and pop businesses are the ones who are suffering the most. Those are going to be the ones with the least amount of protection. They're going to be the ones to go out of business first. So the same thing applies to the landlords. There's just, even if people are responsible and they do have a security net, we already know, like, the majority of Americans don't save. If there is a security net, I think that's a little unrealistic to expect someone to have 18 months of saving stashed aside. And it's just a tragedy because basically somebody got over on somebody else. And, as you know, my family, we own property too. And you can't have people living in your house for free when you still have to make all the payments.
Absolutely.
We had this discussion the last time you were on.
Mm-hmm. You can't live, and it's just the truth. You can't live anywhere for free. I have to pay for
nothing in life is free.
Nothing in life is free.
Yeah, the whole, and that's what I mean. I don't want to step on anyone's toes, but so going back, since you have taken ownership of your affiliation with Trump, what could the Republican Party have done differently when they were setting up this legislation to have avoided the amount of foreclosures and small businesses going out of business and people losing their homes, while other people like tenants, some of these tenants got to just live there for free?
I think probably in hindsight, maybe what we should have done, and you can't really, there's a department that deals with that. So you can't just say, but at the time it was so much going on, and it's not, it was a lot going on. So it's just like, we don't want people to get put out, just give them the money so that they can pay. Okay. So I think my thing is that technically that's how things should go. I don't understand why you don't want to pay for the roof over your head. I just don't.
We're thinking like two rational people with common sense.
Right. Rational. I didn't think that was rational. I just thought that was maybe like a little bit of like, I don't want to be out in the street living, but
that's common sense. Yeah, that's common sense.
So, and you know what? As my pastor say, common sense ain't common. So they have.
I think we have the same pastor, Robin.
So these people, okay, bless their heart, they ain't paid nobody in 18 months, and these landlords is hot. because they had to take loans out to pay, and I'm sure you're familiar because you have a portfolio. They had to pay for the taxes while you stopped the rent. You didn't stop the taxes. Okay?
The taxes, they still have to pay the mortgage, everything.
Right. So the cities and stuff is still doing the taxes. They're not stopping that. Water, some landlords have the water in their name, which I wouldn't do it, but some people do. So they just didn't get the money. So so it's just the house. So they're trying to keep the house, and they're not getting any rent in. So if you, and you can appreciate this. If you got a portfolio of, let's say, about 20, 25 houses, and you're not getting any rent, but about out of 3, then you still got to pay taxes. So we done went a whole year and a half, going on 2 years, and they just extended it. That's what I wanted to tell you. It just got extended.
Well, here's the other thing. So you had tenants who are making money, like I said, basically taking advantage of someone else. And unfortunately, a lot of times that landlord-tenant relationship can be adversarial for whatever reason. They can be tenants can be upset. Oh, the landlord didn't, make these repairs, whatever. Couldn't they have saved up money instead of having, like Cori Bush on the Capitol saying all these people are going to be homeless now? I mean, they haven't paid any rent in 18 months. Like, where is the money at? Where's the money?
I'm going to be honest with you. And I'm not going to say that this is a Republican stand, but as an investor myself, the whole Cori Bush thing, that's BS. Listen, these people have been out of money for 18 months. Okay.
The landlords.
Okay, the landlords. Okay. Right. So what, how much do you think they can just keep going?
Exactly.
Before they lose the house. Now that's a whole different situation. And see, this is the issue I have when you have politicians who don't know nothing about housing, who want to advocate for some stuff, and they don't think about the back end of it. They don't see the whole picture because they don't know it. Okay.
Right. So you just feel like, you're supposed to be the good Samaritan and open your doors and heart for people who are less fortunate than you. But at the end of the day, somebody has to pay the bill. And somebody has to pay the bill. And everybody could have won in this situation. All they had to do was sign a stupid sheet of paper. I mean, but what you're doing is, instead of them saying, okay, we're going to tell the states to hold off on taxing the landlords. Yeah. Once again, you have you have a one-sided deal where the landlords don't get nothing. Right. And the tenant gets to stay, money. Okay. So in hopes that you will get this billions of dollars out. Now, let me tell you, there was when Trump was in office, because he did see this happening. Well, I'm not gonna say him per se, but his team, they saw it happening. What they did was they did release it. Okay. They released money out. But some of these cities like Detroit, 36th district, they weren't they didn't go to work because they it's COVID. We ain't going. Everything's shut down.
Okay. But Oakland County was open. Right. So Oakland County got their money. And see, you only get an allotted amount per state. So once that money is gone, it's gone. It's gone. Yeah. Okay. So that's what I'm saying. So it gets down to a point of where you have to stop and think and say, okay, well, where is this? If Oakland County got theirs, then they're going to be able to get all their money. And these landlords who got houses in Detroit ain't going to be able to get theirs. Now that's, so that there makes it a state issue. Okay. Because technically you should have had it so that 36th district and all these other courts, they should have been open. Okay. Right. You know what I'm saying? At least to get this money or do the, the evictions or whoever it was going through, whoever this entity is that it was going through to get the money out, that should have been open. You got some people that's open and some people that's not. So now you got people who had it, they got their money, they good. And then you got Detroit people who got properties and stuff in Detroit. They don't have no money still. And now you done extended it until October 3rd. And it's for areas, from my understanding, is for areas that are like rural and hardest hit with COVID. Oh my God. Okay, well, that's with the Delta variant going around, that's what, 80-90% of the country? So you're right back where you were.
Exactly. And
you know, national.
Right. And the whole thing too is like we've discussed this before that Michigan is a very tenant friendly state. And 36th district is a tenant friendly court where all it takes is a single mother with 2 babies crying, wearing a dirty diaper. And the judge just gives in almost every time. And it's like, well, wait a minute. How come to me, like you said, it's very unbalanced. Why do the tenants get to live someplace for free, but the property owner is holding the bill? I mean, it's a capitalist country, guys. Like, this is not communism. It's not.
There you go. So you teaching economics, and that ain't people ain't getting to politics, economic collab. What we do is we think politics is totally separate from economics, and
but you have to have both.
They work together.
They do.
They work.
Why do you think that's why Trump got elected in the first place?
Right. They like twins. So you can't say, well, I'm not, I'm economic, but I'm not. Well, yeah, because if somebody passed a dumb law, then you hit economically.
Exactly.
Automatically, and vice versa. So the issue is, and I don't want people to think that we are not in favor of the people who really do have a hardship and they really do need to stay. Okay, that's something totally different. But the landlord knows who needs to stay and who needs to go. Okay,
right.
And that need to be left up to that landlord to extend it. Or if you were going to do something different, why don't you just so that it goes to the landlord and then there you go.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I asked, what could the I'm having flashbacks.
Yeah.
What could the Trump administration done differently?
You said good.
Lord. Now we're about to be going backwards to Reaganomics now.
Right, girl, that's my thing, Reagan. I'm a Reagan.
I'm going. The whole country's going into recession, and he's telling people to go out and go shopping. It's like they live in a totally different world. Their universe is so different from the average.
We would have, what it is. It's a total different. I think it's a thing of just the level of I don't know, self-preservation, maybe that's what's different. I don't know. I'm not a psych person.
Well,
but I will say this.
101. It's all about self-preservation.
But thing of it is that what you now have, especially now that they have extended it, and it's the same thing. Okay, now you have a group of landlords that say, I don't care when you lift it, I'm putting everybody out. I don't care when you lift it. So now you have a city so we can take Detroit.
Right.
Detroit don't have a lot of income friendly housing. Okay. You're building it.
HUD housing.
No, like rental.
Rental properties
or townhomes.
Okay.
We're not really big on that. Okay, we got them, but they all dilapidated.
The HUD housing is very scattered all around the city. It's not like you have huge high rises, and that was done intentionally, but that's a whole nother conversation.
That's a whole nother story. But since we don't have those massive amount of housing buildings,
the public
now you don't have, and you have people who own the homes that are investors that have not gotten paid.
Right.
Okay. So now them people they're like, listen, I'm not gonna get caught up like this no more. I'm taking my house. I'm gonna get them out, and I'm gonna sell the house, or I'm gonna sell it, get my money, and go into something else. Okay.
They have to do something before they lose the property.
Right. Because they're gonna have to sell it.
Yeah.
But this is the thing. You can't. The thing of it is this: even the money they were getting, or some of them is still going, that they're gonna start trickling this money out. Now, this is where the city come in. Now you got 3 different levels of government, okay? And all of this is together in it. So what the city said is that, from my understanding from my landlords that I've been talking to, is that if their homes are not certified, which means you have your C of O, okay? And I'm gonna be clear, you should have your C of O, okay? Before you put people in there. That's just let's do it. Now, there was a time when weren't nobody policing that, okay? It wasn't being enforced. All right. So now that it's being enforced, now that if you get a house, and this is just a pro tip, do it the right way. Okay. Because now what's happening is that these people who get money back, They're taking 30% of their money for every house that's not C of O. So before the city disseminate the money, they're going to look at the fact that you have no C of O, and they're taking 30% out right there.
So you're saying like being certified by the city? That's what you?
Yeah, your homes are supposed to be. You're supposed to have a compliance
of certification.
Certificate, yeah, a certificate of occupancy. C of O.
Right, exactly. Okay.
And so that means that you're compliant. That means that the city has came in, inspected the home, made sure the house is the way it's supposed to be. Okay, before you lease out. Okay. So, and I will admit, in 2009, people were buying the homes. It was not being enforced. It wasn't being, not unless it was a foreclosure, because the banks had to do it. So if you bought a foreclosure, then you had to get a C of O. But when the bankruptcy happened, a lot of people got laid off. You didn't have as many city inspectors, so it kind of got pushed to the side. Well, now it's coming back. Okay, it's been back, but that's now you got a city that's been in COVID, like every other business. A city, a municipality is a business. Okay.
Yeah, of course.
All right.
So they know that very well based on all the money that's been embezzled in Detroit.
Right. And so they haven't made no money. Okay. They just said that they haven't made no money. Okay. And so and then little money they made, they probably lost it because during COVID, you couldn't do nothing. You couldn't bring in no revenue. Okay. So you're not getting taxes. You're not getting taxed from the landlord. The landlord's not getting rent. The water department is just all over the place. And you have, then you have people, I'm not getting any just like regular administrative costs. I'm not even getting that now that you would normally get. So they don't have any money. So now it's a money grab. Now it's like, okay, well, all these landlords gonna get this money. Guess what we gonna do? We're gonna check and see, do they have a C of O? If they don't have a C of O, we're taking 30% off that house.
Let's go back to where you said the landlord's putting them out, even if has the moratorium officially been extended to October, or are they still holding on?
Yep. Okay. President Biden came out today and extended it to October 3rd. However, it's not a nationwide a moratorium. Okay. It is only until October 3rd. And it's for rural areas and areas that have been hit hardest with COVID-19.
Because I know they were throwing Nancy Pelosi under the bus. They said she waited too late because she almost waited to put on the floor until the night before it's supposed to expire or something. So I know they're throwing her under the bus.
This is what I do agree with Corey. They knew good and doggone well when it was going to expire.
Absolutely. Why are
our governor and everybody else? They've been extended. The ones who are still participating. Okay, because a lot of these states are not. The Republican states are not even participating. They sent the money back. They said no.
Oh wow.
The people need to work. Y'all need to pay the people their money. This is their. This is their. You're a landlord. You got to pay to live. So you got get a job, do what you got to do. So your Texas, your Florida, Utah, places like that. It's your California, Michigan, New York. Those are the ones.
Democratic friendly states.
Right. Those are the ones that you have an issue with, and the landlords are getting hit. And they the ones who need small landlords the most, because those bigger cities, especially like in New York,
they have the public housing in place.
Yeah, they can't pay. They can't pay that money, and they surely can't pay it back, for months back behind. So it's just is not good. It just, if you were going to do something. So I did agree with Corey on that point, because they know exactly.
They waited till the last minute, so you don't have. It's your fault.
I'm gonna give you what I think.
They
ready. Everybody ready to go back to work.
Right.
The economy is not looking good. Everything is sky high. They don't have people working. They're not going to give out any more stimulus checks. They're not going to give out any more emergency money from the state. You're not going to get any more of that, except for the people who got kids.
I heard about the credit if you have children.
Credit for the kids.
The single people, we not feeling love nowhere. Do we ever feel love at tax time? Most of the time. So that's another topic another day.
That's another.
I just say single people with no children yet.
No, you ain't got no kids. You can be married, no kids, you get nothing. That's just but
even married people get a tax break.
But they're gonna get there. And let me explain this. And this is not so much housing. But understand that kid, the taxes, the money that you're getting from your children,
Right.
if you were, that's the money you would normally get at the end of the year.
That's you're just getting the tax credit.
You're
early.
getting it extra, giving it to you early so that you'll have it now. Okay, so you know, so do understand that. But at the end of the day, the landlord still ain't getting nothing. So and now you didn't extend it to October 3rd.
Oh my God.
And so, you know, you're you know, what I don't agree with is having it stop and not consider the landlord. Absolutely. We are not considering the landlord. If the landlords were nice enough to let you through, and I think everybody during COVID was trying to help everybody. All right. So that shit. You know, that I think that was the idea from all the even from both administrations, Democrat, Republican, everybody was trying to help everybody. Now we got some characters that don't play fair. Okay. Yeah. Then we got some people who really need to stay. But at the end of the day, I think I for her to wait to the end, they did not want to extend it. Okay, that's why Corey did have to go to the steps. And I'm all about you going and fighting for what you want. I don't care what side of the table you on. If you want something changed, you have to go to the Capitol. You have to go to who do the lawmakers who dealing with that and handle your business. Okay, right. I'm a believer.
Because the thing about it, she's a politician, so she's representing the people in her jurisdiction. That's what she should be doing. As a politician.
She should do it. Now, do we like it? No. Right. Okay, but that's what she's doing. But you have to, once again, as a politician, you have to also think the whole thing out. I think I agree. I think what we do is we get excited about, you know, trying to solve the right now problem because we're reactive. We're instead of being proactive. Yeah. Okay. So all of them knew about it, even her. So it should have been some type of come up about it.
Let's move this. Let's get to the legislation earlier than waiting until the bill is about to expire. Right. But Pelosi did that too, and she sat on. They all sat on it. I feel like
but remember, the landlords went to the Supreme Court and won the case.
Okay.
So what they did, they couldn't do it as a nationwide. They had to do it as a segment to get around with the Supreme Court, who was in favor of the landlords. So they couldn't do a nationwide. And even with this, he's probably still going to get some. He's going to get some backlash from legal because we now know what he did. So you can best believe that the Supreme Court is looking at that and they're probably frowning. They probably really much frowning upon it. But by the time it gets through them, October and all that, and that's what he even said it. That's what he's banking on is that they won't be able to push it through the docket to be able to do something to him fast enough. Because it would have to come from every state to get it, and he only doing it to October 3rd. But I'm gonna tell people, and this is not, like I said, housing is a very serious issue.
Yeah, we all need a place to live. Like
all of us need some place to live, but you got to. A lot of this can be resolved. Because I've been a renter. Okay, a lot of times I would just call my landlord.
Yeah,
say, dude, I ain't closed none today. Right. I need a couple more weeks. Just a fee or whatever, and people will work with you. Okay,
absolutely. That's with your creditors. If you can't pay the bill, call, at least make a partial payment. Make it look like you're making an attempt. Absolutely. But that's why I said a lot of times the situation is, for whatever reason, it's adversarial for no reason, because it's like somebody is trying to help you, and you basically, you know, to put it nicely, stepping on their toes. They haven't done anything to you but provide you housing. Like, that's not your enemy. You need to make that person your friend. They did not have to allow you to stay there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you got to understand that that's housing that a lot of times people could not get. And when you come into the bigger complexes and the nicer townhomes and stuff like that, like we have here in Oakland County, we have like the bigger complexes. You know, 400,
2,000 square foot houses.
No. But you know, even the smaller, I mean, people out here, even on the single family homes, they're running credit. they running your job, they doing
right.
your
They have income requirements,
income, everything. So they're not trying to bring you in their home. And now the bad thing about it is all these people that probably are going to get put out, these landlords are going to put them on every docket or every piece of information so that all the other landlords will know not to rent to them.
Yeah, they don't pay their rent. They're not paying their bills.
They don't pay their rent. So nobody's going to take you if you don't pay your rent from your last landlord, because now all the landlords are working together. So they are going to know that you don't pay your rent. And these are the landlords that we need. Fortunately, the small landlords are getting hurt the worst out of this. The bigger landlords are doing fine. It's the smaller ones that are getting hit very hard with this. And it's true. It's not fair. It's not fair.
It isn't fair.
And so, but my thing was, I don't think we needed to extend it because, well, at least I say it like this in Michigan. Michigan is different.
It is.
Because in Michigan, they weren't going to put nobody out in November anyway. I mean, they already said they docket is like, they already said they 10,000 people behind. 36 districts, they're 10,000 people behind. So that they ain't gonna get to them people until what, February next year?
Yeah. And
the
tenants know it too.
Yeah, and it's study ed and we don't put people out in the winter. We don't.
Well, I was gonna say too, when you say the landlord said, I don't care when you lift the moratorium, I want these tenants out of my house. Legally, you're supposed to give them a notice. The judge gives you some type of notice to post on their door, whatever, your door. Technically, it's your door.
Notice to evict.
Notice to evict or intent to move, whatever, 30-day notice, whatever, you got to leave. And if they want to appeal the notice from the judge or whoever, the court, they have to go to court. So I'm thinking, like, in my mind, because we've been through this process before, what are you going to say when you get to court if it happens to come before October, which you've already said in Detroit is likely not going to happen anyway? What if when you go to court, the landlord takes these tenants to court who have not been paying for 18 months, and the judge says, don't you know about the moratorium? Like, what are you supposed to do at that point?
If you say if they know about the moratorium?
Yeah.
They're not going to do it. They just going to, if I've already filled out paperwork to take them to court, the court is probably just going to extend it out until after October.
They're just going to delay it until after October, which is going to delay the whole process again.
Right. And that's if Detroit does it. Now they're saying, it has to be hard COVID hit, but I'm pretty much sure it's going to, Detroit probably going to, or Wayne County is going to fall in that. I don't know about Oakland.
Well, we already know Wayne County is very tenant friendly.
Some of the more rural areas, they may run into it, but yeah.
I actually, we had a tenant before in the past who didn't pay his rent. He was almost $10,000 in arrears. He basically lived in a house for free for almost a year in one of our homes, and we did finally take him to court. So we made an agreement with the judge. But in other words, he was basically waiting it out. He knew that we depended on the income to pay the mortgage. And he was literally waiting for the house to go into foreclosure so he could live there for free for another year, because the foreclosure process takes about a year in Michigan too. So it's just like, it's terrible how malicious some of these people are. I mean, at the same time, you still have the same job. You're still going to work every day. I don't understand why you can't pay your bills. I mean, all of these people out here that are hiring, all these employers hiring, and you can't get a job. And it's like, do something. I mean, like, we both have degrees. We both went to Big Ten universities. Right. But we will both work at McDonald's if push comes to shove. If we have
done that. I tell people all the time. I'm like, it's so many good jobs out here.
Yeah.
I'm just to go get one, just to make the money. You know what I'm saying? It's just
like, apply yourself.
I'm like, y'all don't want to make no more money. More money, more money, more.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? You know, I've been this type of person. If I move up, I'm not trying to move back. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I you know, I think a lot of it is and you know, you maybe have to talk maybe more about them as far as the mentality of people, and because like I said, I'm not a psychologist, but at the end of the day, it's definitely some type of mentality that is going on that feels like I'm entitled to something.
Absolutely.
And you know,
Somebody's supposed to take
I
care of
don't
me.
know.
It's like you're an adult. You're
I
an
don't know.
adult. That's an adult responsibility to take care of yourself, unless you're out here with some kind of disability or something. But
Right.
I mean, that's your
Right.
job, is to take care of yourself. If you have a family, it's your job to take care of your family. Like I said, this just seems to be common sense 101 to me.
Yeah.
And why would you expect to move into somebody else's house and be able to live for free?
Especially when you know, and a lot of the landlords, what they've been saying is, you know, well, this person was buying this and they was buying that, and they seeing new TVs coming in the house because
they're using our stimulus money.
Right.
Rent.
Right. I don't understand how people think that landlords are not driving by their properties.
Yeah.
If they're not driving by their property, they have a property manager that's doing it. So they see what you're doing. Okay.
Absolutely.
So they know you getting the money. So what makes you think that they don't know what's going on with their property?
Exactly.
And so I'm like, you know, you guys are, you know, you putting all these TVs, y'all everywhere buying everything else.
Exactly.
There's really no sense in the world why you should be more than maybe a month or two behind in rent.
You don't want to get over a month. If you get over a month, like statistics show, it's almost impossible to get caught up when you get a month behind in bills.
Right. And you know, so if you're, you know, so you shouldn't even, you know, be you telling me when I have talked to, literally I wanted to bring some of my mom, but the one I wanted to bring on, she's out of town. But I mean, it's just like I saw her during COVID.
Right.
She literally was helping people fill out their stuff, doing their stuff, taking pictures, doing their stuff, having them fill out things so that she can do, because they didn't have computers. And remember, the unemployment system at the time was so antiquated, you couldn't do it on your phone. So a lot of people don't have a desktop, they just have a phone. Where if you couldn't get unemployment, you couldn't get it because the system was antiquated and it didn't work on the phone. So you have landlords who were literally on their computers trying to do the unemployment stuff, having them sign documents, sending it over to them so that they can sign, you know, trying to help people so they can get money, so get their stimulus checks, so they can get this, so they can, you know, and then all I do is ask you to pay me and you don't do it.
Exactly.
That's kind of a
That's why I said I feel like the relationship is adversarial. We have a tenant who showed he didn't pay any rent one December and came back. He took a trip, his whole family, not just him, but his entire family. Now, I don't know how they got down there because they don't have a car, but they went to Florida and he's showing me pictures like in Florida of how they had such a great vacation and, you know, they were just living it up and what are his kids, took his kids to the beach and girlfriend and all this. And I came back down the stairs and we're in the upper and lower flight. I said, Mom, didn't you say that this tenant didn't pay the rent this month? She's like, no. I said, he just showed me all these pictures from this trip he took to Florida, and the guy's not even paying the rent. I'm like, just the absolute audacity. And it's like, we might not be getting any Christmas presents this year. And it's like, don't you think we want to celebrate Christmas too, just like you did? I mean, it's
the misconception, Nancy, is that investors have all this money.
Yeah.
And you know, one thing, and this is a quote from Jay-Z, you know, more money, more problems. Okay? The more assets and stuff I have, especially when you're talking about real estate, the more you have to put out. Okay, so if you don't own those assets outright, okay, you still have to pay the mortgage, you have to pay the insurance, you have to pay the
absolutely.
You know, so those are three bills that a tenant never has to pay, really. Okay, because
it's all supposed to be included in the rent.
Right. So you know, so you're not paying those bills like that tenant, like that landlord is paying. So if I have a portfolio of 20 houses, I'm putting out like one of my landlords, like just in her insurance is $14,000 a month.
Oh my goodness.
Okay. So now that we have this, and you stated it correctly, we have this adversarial type of relationship now between the landlord and the tenant. You can best believe if those landlords getting some money, PPP, whatever, okay, they get, all right, they're going to put all type of money on that house because at this point we don't trust you, period. Okay, right. You may burn my house up because I'm gonna put you out. Okay.
Lord.
Now the city is looking. Now you looking at. Now this is what I'm saying. I don't understand lawmakers because you can't look at something just one-sided and just always look at that one side. Because now the people who do got money, they're about to
vote you out of office.
They about to be on point. They about to be on point. They about to be like, I'm gonna put insurance on this house, and as soon as that moratorium up, I don't care what's going on, you getting out. All right? They're gonna put you out.
Yeah, that's the thing with Cori Bush too. She has a responsibility to represent poor people and those who cannot pay for their own rent or their own living expenses. And she also has a responsibility to represent the landlords that are in her jurisdiction. You have to represent both sides. You can't just come in one-sided and side with one group because they're less fortunate. Because, let's be honest, as my mom used to say when she was teaching, all of us, most of the 90% of Americans we 2 paychecks away from being on the street ourselves. So what gives you the right?
So now you
pay your bills? I have to pay my bills and yours because you've made a decision, like you said, based on a mentality that somebody owes you something and you don't have to go out and work and get yours. I mean, I just, like I said, I'm baffled.
It is, and just like all you're doing is prolonging the inevitable because real estate agents and we've been saying this all the time. When this moratorium lift, these landlords, because people ain't been doing right, they're going to be out. They're going to be. I'm not being in Detroit because you got a whole nother county over here that's not working like that.
Right.
So now you done took all your investors that every city needs, okay, and wants, okay. You done took them. They like, as soon as I unload these houses, I'm going to Macomb. I'm going to Oakland County. I'm going to
because they know they're going to get more support. And here's the other thing too. So just to balance everything out, okay. You have counties like Oakland County, Genesee County that have nonprofit organizations that are donating millions of dollars to help their residents in those communities. Where are those nonprofits that should be helping in Detroit that we're not seeing the same presence? Like I think the Catholic Society or some kind of Catholic nonprofit, I just saw them in the news in, I believe it was Genesee County, has donated like $3 million to $30 million in Genesee County alone to poor residents. And I'm like, where's the money at? The housing money in Detroit? It's just, we're not seeing that. Like you're supposed to have, when you have like a private sector who is supporting their landlords and people are doing the right thing, you also have that nonprofit arm that comes in and helps people who are less fortunate versus making the government do it because there is no like safety net anywhere else for people to depend on. You have churches who are coming in and supporting the poor. You have other nonprofits, you have other organizations. And I just don't feel like we have that same presence in Detroit. So they just leave it up to the government to do everything. They don't care if it's local, whoever. And if the government doesn't step in, I don't know what these people think they're going to do.
Well, that's the problem, is that government, and this is the economic side of me, government is running out. It's running out. They, I tell people everything is an election away from you being dissed, really. And what I mean by that is that when it comes time for officials to get reelected, when it comes time for a huge election year, things of that nature, what they normally do is go into these neighborhoods and promise the world, knowing good and well that they're not going to be able to pull it off, or that it's not even sound judgment, and just to get the vote. but that's all they care about. So now you got to vote you in. Now you got all these issues. I'm gonna get rid of COVID. I don't know why that was even said, because it's a virus. Virus don't go anywhere. We adapt. Okay, pro tip number 2. Don't go anywhere.
Right.
Biology 101. They don't go anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
We adapt to them, not the other way around. Okay, so whatever you got to take the vaccine, you need to take the vaccine. If you got normal natural immunity, then you do a natural immunity. But you got to choose.
You got to do something.
You got to choose something, because at the end of the day, viruses, again, and this is a fact, not just his opinion. Viruses don't go away. You have to adapt to the virus. They've been with us since the beginning of time. Okay.
Yeah.
So that clears that up. So whatever way you want to do it is fine with everybody. But at the end of the day, you got to make a choice, and that choice is inevitably that's up to you. But as far as we use these things to get votes, and then you can't perform, knowing good and doggone well you couldn't do it in the first place.
Right. You sit up here promising the stars and the moon.
You set up an expectation from people, and then you let them down. And my thing is, especially my people, I need us to start looking at the expectations that they're promising you, but yet they can't deliver or won't deliver. Because if I think it's going to hurt me from getting an election, then I'm not going to do it. Okay. So, I mean, because I was just looking at my phone, and they said we got, roughly 2,600 COVID cases. I remember last year around this time, we had less than that.
Yeah.
And they shut this joker back down again. No restaurants, no nothing.
Right.
Okay. It's all about what's going on with these people, what their next move is. So we got to be really, really careful. Do we need to have more, programs and stuff? I see a lot of programs. I don't now. You can have. Let me tell you this. This is just sheer wisdom. You can have a bunch of programs, but if they don't function or are if they're not efficient, then
right. What are they funding? You have some nonprofits that are very top heavy. I mean, I've worked with some. You probably have too. Even in the school system, and you look at what these top administrators are making, and your jaw will literally drop. Like some of these salaries are ridiculous, and the funds are supposed to be going to the people. They're supposed to be servicing what you said your mission was, but instead, a lot of a large percentage of what they bring in from donations and from wherever else they get funding from, corporations or wherever. They're going to payroll to pay these top executives at their nonprofit.
And then too, you got to understand that during 2020, when everything was shut down. So if you had programs or something, there wasn't, because everything was trying to get going. We was trying to figure out how we're going to get to the people, this and this and that, how we're going to get the food. It was just a lot jumbled up all together. So even though you may have a plan, once again, because the government is implementing, and pro tip number 3, nothing dealing with government is easy.
Right.
It's never simple. It's never easy. It's never fast.
Yeah.
Okay. If you need your rent like next week, that ain't gonna happen. It may come 3 or 4 months later. You may be good then, but you're gonna have to, find another way, because it doesn't work that fast. Every program has to give an account of where those funds is going. So you got to first be able to come in and talk to me, or have a computer to talk to me on Zoom or something. You got to have some way to communicate. And we didn't have that. So even if we gave you, which the administration did give a lot of funds out to different areas, but because a lot of those areas were on lockdown and like they were not taking anybody even at work.
Right. So, they're not operating fully.
They weren't operating at all. And then Detroit just really got started back, 2 or 3 months ago? Where they just really say, okay, now we coming back in. Well, the rest of the world has been in.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We were like one of the last states. In fact, I think California was right before us. Okay, so we probably was the last state that we were released to go back to work. We were released to go back. So when you keep holding back people, you can't expect people to work, even though in theory it would be nice. You can't expect people to work from home the same way they do, or if they were in that setting, because that setting gives you structure. And I'm just gonna be honest, I'm a person, I need structure. I don't
Absolutely, I do too.
So if you need structure, and I'm at home, I'm comfortable, I'm safe, the dog is running, the kids is here.
I see the baby's in the background.
Right. But guess what? The baby is in the background, and the baby said, "Mommy, you here? I want to talk to you. I don't get to see you during the." So it's a lot of other different caveats that come into. We can say we can put programs out there, but once again, if it's not running efficiently, and if the city is not up and running, then the people don't have no way of getting the food, or they don't have no way of getting the money, or they don't have no way of, so it's your supply chain is just stalled. And whenever, I think what people really didn't understand about what the Trump administration was trying to say is that with this supply chain being stalled, now you have all this stuff that's backed up. Everything is backed up. You need to open up so that chain won't get so far backed up that it's going to take you a year or so to get back running properly. So now you can begin to feel that effect. Even though we're open, stuff still is not running the way you think.
100% capacity.
Right, because government don't move fast like that. So now that you got your programs open, we're still trying to force the money through. We're still trying to get the avenue in which, because you still got that negotiation on the state level and on the local level.
Right.
So all that has to happen. Nothing happens fast in government, which is why I always say, I need you to find a way to be self-sufficient. If you need the government, that's what it's for you to get on your feet. I've been there. I know tons of people who've been there. We use it for that. But once you get on your feet, you stay on your feet, because then you ain't got to worry about where your money coming from. You don't have to worry about eating king crab legs today and then going back to chicken wingdings in a month, because you ain't got no money to afford them. You know what I'm saying? Your lifestyle doesn't change. You make your lifestyle and you push your lifestyle. That's your lifestyle. When you give it to the government, it's dictated by what they want to give you and how they want to give it to you and when they want to give it to you. Okay, so that's the issue. So we got to get to a point, we got programs. Detroit has a ton of programs, but if you're closed, it's not efficient. It doesn't work. You can't, the churches didn't get up and running until for a long time.
That's true. Some of these churches out here, they offer a lot of programming to the poor. That's really, the way it should be. I mean, the church should be giving to the poor.
And they would have, but in Detroit, they were shut down. They were mandatory closed. So even the church's hands were tied.
Absolutely. Yeah. I agree totally with you. And you have to have donors who still have jobs to be able to make donations. So we're almost out of time. I'm going to end with this. So we were talking about legislators representing their constituencies, and I did want to say that Carolyn Kilpatrick, she did an excellent job of bringing so many funds to Detroit for so many different programs, and just based on her son's behavior. Thanks to your former president, he was expunged, or his sentence ended early. It caused her not to be reelected. So those were some funds. Like, she could give money to Detroit like no other politician I've seen could. So, she
was good.
Yeah, that was very unfortunate. And you have politicians that just don't come like that every day. So she had the connections in Washington and DC that she needed to make sure funds got to Detroit, and she represented the city very well until the debacle with her son, which we won't get into. That's a whole nother conversation for a whole.
Well, you know what I think is you guys got Rashida Tlaib.
Yeah,
what's she doing?
Yeah, that's why I said she's not.
What is she doing? But see, and that's what needs to be dealt with. We need to look at our officials and look at what they're doing. It's not so much. A lot of these officials is not even is nonpartisan. Your mayor is a nonpartisan. It doesn't matter if he's a Democrat or Republican because it's a nonpartisan position. Okay. It's just we want him to be a Democrat for whatever reason. Okay. Right. So it doesn't. So what has happened is that you have people who looking at party instead of looking at the caliber of the person and what the person can do. Because in politics, you want somebody who's gonna get something done.
Exactly.
Okay. You know, it's
actually you can take their promises to the bank because they're at least going to attempt to make them happen.
As long as I see you doing things and things are getting done and it's working out, then I'm good with that. But when you're just stagnant and just taking a seat and taking a position, then it doesn't help the people.
No,
and that's one thing Detroiters have been fighting ever since I've been here. Is like this one core group of people that just can't seem to get up and out on their feet. And but they keep thinking that this one person or persons is going to save them. And
so President Obama is supposed to save all Black people. I'm like, it's just totally unrealistic. You know, and a lot of people, then you have the criticism on the other side. Well, President Obama didn't do anything. Well, his hands were tied because every time he tried to pass a bill, it got shut down. So it's like but I'm like, at least still a lot of the attempts were made. Like if I don't even see you making the attempts, I'm going, what is going on here? Like, why not vote for this person?
Right. And sometimes you gotta take an L in certain areas to get something started. You know, one of the things that President Obama did, which I being in healthcare, being degreed in healthcare, I always respect him for, is trying to give everybody healthcare,
universal healthcare. Yeah.
You know, so that's a huge feat, you know, and for him to even try, at least he tried, you know, what he tried, you know, but does it need to be reformed? Absolutely. Whenever you have a program, you don't keep the program the same for decades. Because people's issues change, economies change, situations and stances change. So that program has to be able to live and breathe so that it can evolve as the people evolve.
Right.
The issue is that we're so caught up on what party thought of what first and then how it did, and I'm gonna keep it because if you change it, then you're trying to take it from me, and it's not. No, nobody's trying to take universal health care away. We're trying to make it work so that everybody can afford it, because the basis of universal health care is that everybody can do what? Pay their premiums. If my premiums are G for just me by myself, I'm probably not going to pay that premium.
Right, okay? Right. It has to be affordable.
It's got to be affordable.
Yeah, I want to say kudos to President Obama, because this was legislation that Senator Kennedy had tried to get passed for decades. Like really almost his entire career surrounded universal health care. So it was a major feat to have it done. I am glad that it's still in place. I do agree that it needs some revision because, as you said, it's supposed to be affordable. And some on the marketplace, it can be very expensive.
Yeah, infrastructure need to be reformed. Welfare need to be reformed. Healthcare needed. All of these bills, things have changed since those bills was implemented. They need to be reviewed instead of Ocasio and all them on the porch. Okay, I need her to be in there since Corey got that under control on the steps. I need other stuff to be in there trying to, since she for the people. Why don't you try to come up with something and work with your constituents? And work with you know, try to be bipartisan and come up with something that everybody can agree to get it passed to help the people.
Absolutely. Right? Now, that's why they got put in office in the first place. That's why all these pastors supposedly are in office. In their offices is to be helping people.
Right, but you got
this is supposed to be what it's all about.
Right, you know, some of these folks stay on the news more than they stay in their office. I don't see how you get no work done before they on vacation. You know?
Oh my goodness!
Vacations. I'm like, dude, you know, you in the middle of a pandemic. How you gonna vacate?
Where are you gonna go with the whole nation? You can't even go out the country. We can't even go to Canada. We can walk. We can walk to Canada from here. We can't even go to Canada. What are you talking about?
Where are you going? That's what somebody asked Nancy where she going. You're 78 years old. Where is you going? I need you to be washing your hands, and you need to be in one spot chilling. You know, all this Delta variant. Nobody wants you to catch nothing. You got trying to be on the beach. What you mean vacay? I don't understand this. It's like y'all until we get to a level of where we can handle these situations with COVID. And I'm gonna tell you, it's not going. We're gonna always have some issues with this,
right?
Because it's just
continues mutating.
It's just, oh wow, it's mutating like something else. But we're going to have to. We can't stay in the house all day. And we can't lock down
it's not
because we ain't got no more money to give nobody. So if we lock you down, you still, you're gonna be hungry, so you ain't gonna have no money. Okay, right. So we just, and understand that the money you're using is taxpayer dollars. Yeah. Okay, that's taxpayer dollars. So it behooves you to, pay your landlord because he's paying taxes that is eventually coming to you to help you eat and keep a roof over your head and everything else. Yeah. So we just got to get to that point. I think that's more of a, like I said, a mentality. That's a behavioral issue. Mm-hmm. I don't think that behavior issues take a long time to change. I mean, it just does. But we got to get to a point. We got to have people in office that can make the hard decision and can explain. I think a lot of times that we will explain stuff to people and that they will understand where you're coming from.
And that's what a lot of these correspondents are saying on the Republican and Democratic side about COVID and this vaccination is that if you sit down and explain to your people why they need to be vaccinated, just like they get vaccinated for their children. I mean, your children get vaccinations every year. I mean, it's a vaccination for adults. It's no different from your children getting, a tetanus shot or a measles shot or flu shot. It's the same thing. But people aren't sitting down and having those conversations. So as a result, you get a lot of heat, a lot of hype, a lot of misinformation on social media. And people say, oh, they're scaring people out of taking it because of the fear of the unknown. It's something that they haven't done before. And a lot of times in our communities, there's just a general mistrust in general of anything that government tells us to do. But they will take your check. But other than that, they pretty much
ain't trying to mess with nothing else. And that's something, like I said, that's more of a mentality or behavior. Yeah. That it needs to be broken because, like I tell people, it's like, well, you don't want to take the vaccine. Well, I don't need to. I got natural immunity. Okay, so I'll do it for right now. All right. Right. But at the end of the day, the people who really need to take it, if you haven't had it, then you need. I'm a COVID survivor. Right. So you need to take it. If you got issues, I mean, some of the things that have just been totally the same across the board. Is that if you have, COVID morbidities, or for people who don't know what that is, if you have heart trouble, diabetes, shortness of breath, asthma, stuff like that, all these things that, that are considered morbid comorbidities, then you need to definitely take the shot. You need to get it. That's my thing, because you don't want to get sick and then, it's hard to bring you back when you have so many other issues going on in your body.
And that's the other thing about working. It's like work while you can, because it's a lot of people who thought they had forever who are on disability. They can't work now.
They can't work now. So let me tell you, catching COVID, if there's a lag time, they call it, what do they call it? Lag. It's a COVID lag. That's what it's called. COVID lag, where after you have it, you have people now and they're beginning to show it. And I know when I had it, after I had it, I talked to U of M, who was watching me and see how I was progressing. I told them, I said, I feel so tired. Why am I so exhausted? And true enough, you gained weight, but then I had lost a lot of weight.
Yeah, you told me.
And I said, well, maybe it's just because I lost so much weight just from eating. I didn't have an appetite. I didn't really want to eat nothing. But after a while, normally your body kick back in and you good. Right. That's not the case. I had issues with, just breathing, and now they begin to say, COVID, once you catch it, it can affect you. It can affect you for months later, just with you running up. You have people having problems running up the steps where normally they can run up the steps like that. Right. People have issues getting tired, just going through the grocery store, doing their regular grocery shopping.
Fatigue.
All that kind of stuff. So it's a lot of, it's not just you get it and that's it. There is something to it more to it.
Right.
If you already have issues and you know what you have better than anybody else, if you have issues, you need to go take that shot. You really do. I wouldn't risk it. If I had certain stuff going on, I've been blessed. God has been good to me. I don't have any, I don't have to worry about high blood pressure and all that kind of stuff. I work out. I do, I try to keep myself, healthy, and I've been blessed. I don't have any of that. But for people who do, especially our elderly, we definitely need to make sure that so they have that first line of defense, to help them. But as far as the programs, as far as the landlords, we'll see what happens October 3rd.
The thing too is that, like you said about the finances, like be proactive about your health too, not be reactive. I mean, don't wait until you get it. I mean, you didn't have a choice. You happened right in March, right? I mean, like literally like a week after it was on the news and everything. So there wasn't really a protocol on like wear your mask, don't go out in public. It literally happened right when COVID hit. So you just didn't know. But like people, it's been out for a year and a half. People know like they're going to put the mask mandate back into place. They've already done it in Las Vegas. They're going to continue to do it in other large cities, especially, these hubs where people travel a lot. So just be prepared. The mask isn't going away. Like you said, COVID is not going away. It's constantly mutating. They said that this COVID variant is so bad. It's like people getting chicken pox. I mean, it's that contagious. So it's nothing to play around with. And I say be proactive about your health, then be reactive and waiting till something bad happens. My circles are fairly small, and like I have a family member who's had it. They're all survivors, thank God. Co-workers who they've had family members who've had it, that they've had it. So I say it's definitely not. I mean, why risk your health and your life? To me, it's not worth it.
Right. It's like, especially if you have those issues. If you're young and healthy, and okay, well, that's something different, because youth makes up for a lot of stuff. When you get older, you got
children getting it down, though, like 12 years old.
Youth is a wonderful thing. Enjoy your youth, babies. Enjoy them. But when you get older,
children who are teenagers are getting it, and they, at first when this first happened, they were not as susceptible. But now you have kids who are on ventilators, so it's nothing to play around with. We'll end on this. There's a statistic out now that says about 30% of healthcare workers are not vaccinated. Tell me how you feel about that. Since you have a healthcare background as well.
I think if I worked in healthcare is a little different beast when you're talking about mandating vaccines. To me, when you work in healthcare, it's not so much about me as it is about the patients.
Absolutely.
So you have patients, you have people who was coming in who are already at a risk.
Yeah, their body's already compromised.
They're already compromised and at a risk. So then if you just and I'm gonna be honest with you, most healthcare people are in great shape. I mean, we because we're in healthcare. So if something happens, we know what to do. We rather know what to do, or we know what to get, or we have
who to go to.
Or who to go. We have access, easy, simple access. So I think if you're in, and once again, I was in the emergency room, so I'm sure if I was still in the emergency room, they would be like, yeah, you got to get, because we still get TB testing.
Yeah,
you get TB, you up out of there. There ain't nobody playing with you with that. It should be the same with this, because you don't want nothing that has such a high contagion, and then you may not have any symptoms, but the person who's sick, they can't handle it. Okay,
exactly.
So for healthcare, I think you have to kind of think outside the box and say, okay, well, I think I probably need it. Now I do
anybody in the public sector. Let me just broaden that to anyone in the public sector. Think about your fellow man.
Everybody. I ain't gonna say everybody.
Teachers, those in the healthcare profession, because government is 1/3 of it all employers, employment. So the public sector is huge. They have to think about their fellow man, especially if they work with a large number of people.
I think I will say.
Let me get my charger real quick. We're gonna be on the phone. I want to hear this though.
I say that if you listening,
I had to get my charger. I don't want the battery to die.
Oh Lord. Okay.
I'm listening.
All right. I think that with healthcare, because you are dealing with people that you know to be sick,
Yeah.
then I think I would definitely be like, okay, yeah, I think I would agree with that. If I still worked in healthcare and they said, Robbie, you still got to take it, okay, I would take it. Okay, fine. Because I don't want the other people to get sick.
Absolutely.
And they may get sick and die because they already. When you're talking about the teachers, kids, let me tell you, and you think I was gonna say something wrong? I'm gonna say something good. Kids are germaphobe. Do you know why we don't have kids in the hospital all over the place? Because they carry germs. Yeah, right. They are germaphobes. They are germy people. Okay, cute as fun, but they are germy. Okay. If you want to catch a cold, go stand by a kid for like 2 minutes. If his nose is running, you got it. You good. Okay.
Right.
And I'm being facetious, but it's just a
fact. I got you.
So when you're dealing with this, I do believe that maybe the teachers should at least, especially if you have some type of comorbidity or something going on, and that's something once again that only you can answer. You should take the vaccine, because now that this thing is evolving the way it's doing, the kids may have it, and if you got heart trouble, you ain't trying to get it from no kid. But then I also say this too, where healthcare people don't have this luxury, is that you should be able to teach your class from home. If you have now, where I be at, school I work at, some of our teachers, the ones that didn't want to come back to work, they didn't have to. But then the school has to be able to handle online classes. They can handle that. They do that. They were doing that before 2019. They're doing that before COVID. We've been doing that for years. Because our kids, sometimes they go on vacation with their parents during the school year. They need to be able to get their work and have school. And so we have a system set up so that they can get their school work, they can do their work, they can, listen to the tapes, they can listen to the lectures, and they can still do their work while they're with their parents, out of the country or whatever. So that's already been established. What I feel we need to do until that point, yes, if you're a teacher, you should get vaccinated. I do not believe in nobody being forced to do anything. I think that you are a grown person. With your situation.
Supposedly, even though some of these grown people we know don't pay their bills.
You're right. Well,
I don't understand that.
Okay, they still grown. They just irresponsible.
Biologically, anyway.
Right. But at the end of the day, you are, when it comes to your health care, again, that is a very personal thing. And so just like, we say, my body, my choice.
Right.
This is still your body and it's still your choice. And all we are to do, I feel, as elected officials and things of that nature, is to give you the real science, give you the truth. Okay.
Yeah. If so you can make an educated decision for yourself.
Right. It's just like any other virus. I'm not saying COVID is, but when other viruses came out, they told you what it was and what you had to do. This virus seems to be is so much back and forth because it's so political.
Absolutely.
It's very political. So that's why the people are confused. All right. Yeah. It's not because, the flu killed people, 60 some thousand people every year. Didn't nobody care about that.
Well, they just told you to go out and get the flu shot, but they didn't make it mandatory.
Right. But they never made it mandatory. If you don't want to get the flu shot and you got the flu and died, they still don't say nothing about it. Okay. So why, this here is such a political thing. And I think you and I have had that conversation that with me, because I am a survivor, it is really touchy with me because I don't feel that you should play with people's lives, period. Tell them the truth and let them make the decision. But the parents know their kids. Let them make the decision for their children. Okay. If you're a grown adult, you know what's going on with you. If you don't have a doctor, I need you to go get a doctor. If you got some insurance, I need you to go to the doctor. Find you a doctor. You can find time to do everything else. Find a doctor and go to that doctor and make sure you're good. Get your physicals. Get your complete physicals. And that way you can make an informed decision about what you need to do and what you don't need to do. I do not believe in mandating making people do things. That I just don't, because that's you crossing the line. You know, that's not what this country is about. True enough. I mean, at the end of the day, and that's why you have that argument. It's like, well, the vaccinated people is catching it too, and the unvaccinated people is giving it to the vaccinated people. Well, the vaccinated people, the vaccine was never said that you were not going to catch it. It said if you did, it wouldn't be as bad.
Right.
That's always hidden in the back of the fear tactic of, the vaccine don't work, or the unvaccinated people gave it to the vaccinated folks. Okay. It's always in that battle, where the reality of it is that they never did say that you would never catch it. They said it wouldn't be as bad.
Right.
Okay. So there you go. So that's that. There's no getting around that. And it's the same with chicken pox. I'm not trying to demonize, to make it smaller, but it's just every virus works like that. There is no difference. Okay. So it's
nothing's 100% proof, is what you're saying.
Nothing is 100% proof.
Yeah. You said the flu shot doesn't mean you're not going to get the flu. You're just probably not going to die from it.
You're just not going to die from it. And, and I'm a prime example of the flu. I had caught the flu. I never took a flu shot. But when I caught the flu, I was out of it. But I never had to go to the hospital. Where you have some people who, if they catch the flu, they haven't had the flu shot, they on a vent.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's all about you knowing your body and you making an informed decision with the information, the clear information that you need to make that decision. And I don't think that poor people are all dumb. I think if you give them the right information, that they can make the right choices.
Yeah, because at first, when this first happened, I'm like, well, this is just a poverty issue, and poor people, they're not getting vaccinated because they can't afford it, don't have insurance. But then it was free at Walmart and CVS and Walgreens. It's okay, this is no longer a financial issue anymore because it's free. So I'm going, what's the problem? You even have employers, they even give you a free lift ride just to get the vaccine. So I said, okay, this is no longer a financial issue.
The issue is once again, it's the mentality. People know what happened with the Tuskegee Institute.
Yeah.
They know they're like, especially how they pushed it on people. That's something else. You got politicians putting a full court press to get people to. When you do that, it makes me automatically think, why are you trying to make me take this so bad?
Right.
You didn't make me do this with syphilis. You didn't make me do this with Ebola. You didn't make me do this with,
with the flu.
Now you're right. Now you giving me out free everything from groceries.
You can win the lottery and everything. You can win $1 million for today.
Everything else to try to, so it's looking suspect. It's looking like
exactly.
And then on top of that, I'm hearing that it's not working.
Right.
I don't have the proper information isn't being told to me. That even if I get it, I still may, even if I get the vaccine, I still may catch COVID. It just won't be as bad. That's not being perpetuated enough. All I'm hearing is that you got it. You got it, you got the vaccine. So now you got people saying, well, why should I get the vaccine?
If I'm gonna get it anyway, what's the point?
What's the point?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So because we're not pushing the true reason why we want you to get the vaccine. We want people to get the vaccine so that they won't be as sick if they are to get it. Some people won't never get it. Some people get it and have something like a bad cold. They got to be in a couple of days and then they fine. All right. Some people have a full out messed up way with it. It's just the way, vaccines work. It's just, it's all about
everybody's body's different and it's going to affect everybody's body differently. And most people are fine with the first shot. It's just that second shot that's a doozy.
That seems to be the norm. That the second shot is when people kind of get sick or they get really sick or So it's like I said, I just don't believe in forcing people to do nothing because that's what the old dude in China do. That's what they do in China and all.
Oh Lord,
Russia.
We got from communism and socialism.
And we're so close to it. It's unridiculous. But when you start saying I'm gonna force you to do something, I'm a little leery of that. It has to be some boundaries, and I do mean some strict boundaries. And right now there aren't any. So
I think the most important thing you said tonight was being self-sufficient, because hey, the
Mhm.
government throwing all this money around, they're gonna feel entitled that they have a right to tell you what to do with your body after they give you all this money. So be careful who you get handouts from.
And you know, it's ironic that you said that, because I'm waiting for them to. Actually, me and a friend of mine, we were just talking about it, because you know New York is mandating vaccine cards or something. And I said, wow. I said, I wonder how long it's going to be before they say, in order for you to get, for people who need welfare checks and stuff like that.
Talking now.
You know what I'm saying?
Here we go.
Before I say, in order for you to get this check, you got to take this shot.
I bet they're going to be lining up then. Like, don't cut the check off. Wait a minute now. Don't be playing with the money.
Is that fair? Is that fair to do?
I mean, we both. I'm a stone throws away from Detroit. Okay, so I always talk about the poor people's tax. So to me, it's more expensive to live in the city than the suburbs. You get taxed for everything. So poverty is not, when they say ignorance is bliss, poverty is not that fun. I don't want to be dependent on the government to pay my bills or give me a place to stay or whatever, because you might not pay a price financially, but you might be paying a price somewhere else. So
and
self-sufficiency is the name of the game at the end of the day.
Right. And Detroit had the highest taxes in the country at one point. And you had no services, which
absolutely
that never made sense to me. So where's the money going?
Yeah, a lot of people were upset with Kwame because he was putting senior citizens out because they weren't paying. No, I take that back. They were paying their property taxes, but then he raised the taxes over this bulk garbage collection or some foolishness, and like $1,000. Well, for senior citizens, they're on a fixed income. They can't afford the extra money. They were getting foreclosed on their house. Some of them had the house paid off. They had been in their home for 30 or 40 years. Like, you can't do that. I mean, who did you think put him in office in the first place? So,
and that's something else too. Once you get somebody in office, it's hard to get him out.
He got out all right. I was shocked he even got elected the second time, to be honest with you, because the scandal broke after his first election. And those 2 years were up. The scandal was starting to unravel. We just had not heard everything yet. We didn't know that it was as bad as it was. And I was shocked that he got elected the second time. We went to bed with one mayor. We woke up with another one. They were like, well, Kwame's. I'm like, how? But I guess they had not counted all the ballots, or they hadn't counted the absentee ballots. So we went to bed with one mayor and woke up with Kwame. And I'm just going, I was floored that the election was even that close, because his reputation was already tarnished. But people after he ran for office the first time. And
Kwame has always been very charismatic.
And he is very charismatic. When they say he's a pastor now, I'm like, that's the perfect profession to him.
People love him. They still love him.
They still love.
And don't get me wrong, I love Kwame too. Kwame's, from a personal standpoint, he's a good guy. I'm glad he out, because no matter, that much time was a bit much. I would have thought his Democrat team would have got him out, but my team.
Robin, you smarter than that, Robin.
Only my team. Once again, we got the
graduate from an Ivy League school. You smarter than that, Robin. That's politics too, and you already know that. So you already know Trump's campaign gonna be no. Hey, I got Kwame out. I
can't listen. I know how that all. Me and you have to talk. I know the insides of how that happened, but I'm just saying.
We do have to talk, because I want to know how that happened. A whole bunch of Detroiters want to know how that happened.
They weren't trying to hear about him getting out. They weren't looking at a letter. They weren't looking at nothing. So his team kicked him to the curb once he went to jail.
They sure did. His party
I digress. But
yeah.
But at the same time, he's very charismatic, and I must admit, what he did for the downtown area, that part, he got that started and well continued it and took it to the length. I mean, the river walk and stuff is #1 in the country, riverfront, and so it's a lot of good things he did. True enough, it's some things that was a little off. Yeah, I agree.
That's very generous, Madam Republican. I'm shocked that you're being that kind to him.
I'm kind of all my politicians, but I love my Democrats, I love my Republicans, but I'm gonna call you out because I pay your check, and so I deserve an answer, and I deserve I deserve to know exactly what you're gonna do and when you're gonna do it, and it shouldn't take you a whole 8 years to get it done. You should be at least getting it started. So
I'm cool. I think the Democratic Party is going to welcome Kwame back as soon as he pays us all the money back that he stole. Once again, where's all the money at? I don't know either.
He didn't steal it from the Democrat Party.
Well, you said he stole from tax papers. He stole from the people of Detroit. So get the money back to Detroit then. That's where you got it from.
Y'all ain't the Democrat Party. I guess the ones who vote Democrat, that is Democrat Party. But I mean, technically, he didn't steal it. I mean, and that's something else. When we say party, a lot of times when people are saying the party, we're not talking about the everyday Jane and John.
Right.
We're not talking about them. We're not talking about those people. We're talking about, we're talking about the actual officials.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we're not talking about the people. So, but hey, it was a ton of people who knew that. I mean, they've been known Kwame was in jail. They weren't trying to get him out.
Well, I will say Kwame would not be the first corrupt Detroit mayor. Hopefully he'll be the last. But
girl, listen,
I'm not keeping my fingers crossed.
Girl, listen, it's corrupt politicians all over this. If you're looking for a saint for a politician, you might as well forget it.
Wrong profession,
It's not even about you, because once you get that level of power, if you're not ready for it, it's going to dictate how you perform. And so you won't know that a lot of times until they get in office and you see how they perform. But as the people, and I do mean people, Republicans and Democrats, as people, we have the right to say, you're not doing right, we're going to get you out.
Yeah.
If you're not doing right, I'm going to reform you. We're going to snatch your stuff from you. You're going to resign. The people have more power than what we think. And a lot of times we don't think that, you do have to go and one thing, like I said, one of the things I do appreciate about Cori Bush, she went on them steps and she sat there until something happened, and that's what we have to do. We just can't be in our own circles and just talking about stuff. When you see your rights are being violated, when you see that people are pushing stuff on you that's not right, you need to stand up about that. That don't mean you go and tear up the city. That doesn't get nothing done.
Right.
What it does mean is that you go and you let whoever that official is, and it's not always your mayor or your state rep or whatever. Sometimes you got to posse up and go to DC and say, listen, I need you to listen to what's going down. We are feeling this type of way because I pay your bills. And until we understand that they don't get paid until we pay them, then that's how it is. Okay. Now they get kickbacks and all that, whatever else other stuff they doing, that's fine. They got their own little business and stuff. But at the end of the day, we pay them to do a job. And sometimes you got to go and protest in a way that is effective. And the effective way to protest is to go to that area that needs to hear from you, and you sit there until they hear you.
Yes, sit in.
When you go to Washington, they always every day they got 3, 4, 5. When I go to Washington, you go by the Capitol, and it's always somebody protesting.
Yeah,
it could be a 2-man show, a 1-man show, or 100 people. They be in the park, they be everywhere. They protest. That's because you own those buildings. Every one of us own the Capitol, the White House. We own that stuff. So you have a right to protest. So if you want to protest about something, you can.
It's peaceful protesting.
Tear your stuff up.
Right. Peaceful protesting, not an insurrection.
but there's a total different thing between an insurrection and a protest.
Yeah, absolutely. A peaceful protest.
You just chanting and waving your sign and saying what you want, and but you got to be in the right area. You can't be
right.
if the politician that's not listening to you is in Washington. You can't be doing no protests here in Detroit.
It ain't going nowhere.
No, he don't even. He's somewhere eating. You need to be.
Lord.
In front of his face, saying, "Listen, I'm here on your step, and we pissed off about this. You have every right. That's your right as a citizen of the United States to express yourself and if you're not happy. So when I see people, even if I don't agree with them, I always will agree with the constitutional rights of that every citizen has in this country, because we are the only country that has that.
Right.
That's why everybody trying to get here by any means necessary.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Hey, it's still number one. I don't care. And I've traveled the world. We've both been around to other countries. It's nothing like the good old USA. Every time I come home, I'm like, thank God for the USA. With all of her problems.
Girl, listen, it is nothing. I tell people all the time, oh, US is this, US that. I said, okay, well, move.
Exactly.
Make a country and move. Literally, I'm like, listen, I ain't trying to be mean. I'm just saying. And I tell you, most people who say that, they haven't been out of the country.
They haven't been anywhere, yeah.
They haven't been anywhere. Because when you go to these other countries, I've been to Belgium, I've been to Paris, I've been to London, I've been to Switzerland. The living, half of us don't want to even live there. We don't like the housing.
Right. Don't like the water, don't like the French fries.
Everything is high. You think it's high here? Go to Europe.
Oh my.
Go to London and go get you a burger and chips, as they call it. Burger and fries here.
The fish and chips.
Right. You gotta get that. You're gonna spend, everything. Your dollar isn't worth nothing in London. So what you would normally pay like $10 or $12 for, you paying about 25 or something in pounds. You know what I'm saying? So it's not the same. So you go zip the car. Well, what was when you look at it in American, what was $28? Oh, that burger and you know what I'm saying? So it's totally different. Everything is different. It's higher. Yes, it is, because everybody is higher because they don't run by the same things that we do. Their capitalism is a different type of capitalism that we have. All right, but then they're people say about healthcare, until America gets the pharmaceutical companies and the insurance companies in check.
Well, we're not run like most other countries. Most other countries don't have a middle class. They have an aristocratic ruling class, and they have everybody else who's mostly poor, and they're serving the aristocratic class. So that's what most countries look like. So that's why I said, that's why they call the USA the land of opportunity, even though that might not be as, realistic as a lot of people make it out to be. But you have a lot better chance of succeeding in the USA than you do in other countries. And I'll leave with this. My niece, my mom, well, let me back up. My sister she went to University of Pennsylvania, and when she graduated, she went to Peace Corps. Well, she married an African. As a result, we ended up adopting someone from the continent. So her daughter lives, the woman that my mother adopted, her daughter lives in the USA now. She actually lives in Detroit. And she thought everybody lived like, all Black people live like Beyonce and Jay-Z. And I was like, that's not even 1%. That's not even 1% of us. That's like Beyonce and Jay-Z. I mean, we can count the billionaires on probably two hands in the United States, the Black billionaires, not everybody else. But I said, but I will say you have a lot better chance of succeeding in the USA. You might not be Beyonce and Jay-Z, but you got a lot better chance of succeeding than you would if you were still back home.
You sure do. You really do. Only here can you just got to learn the game. You just got to learn it.
Absolutely.
And I tell people, when you learn the process, and you can work the show. when you just got to learn the process. Everything isn't just, okay, everything you do is a process. So once you learn that process, you won't think that everything is instant. Because what happens is you think it's instant, and then when it don't happen instantly, then you get discouraged. You got to understand that everything is a process, and no matter how many times you fall, you still get up, and you keep doing. If you gotta work 2 or 3 jobs, do what you got to do, and get on your feet. And then once you get on your feet, then you make sure you get to a level where you're sustaining yourself, where you have a business, some type of business. It don't have to be your main, food and whatever, but you have a business because because this capitalistic society, all the rules are for people who own businesses.
Absolutely,
it favors them. So you do better. Trying, if you really want to, what we learned in school was, if you want to be rich, you can't work for nobody. Because if you make $1 million, you didn't just made him 2 million.
Absolutely. For sure.
So it got to be a point in time where you're going to say, you know what, I need to make the 2 million. I need to make all of it, and I'm not saying everybody's going to be an entrepreneur. I'm not saying that.
Right.
But you need to learn how to invest. You need to learn. It's a lot of different ways that you can make money besides just being, on the storefront or something like that. There's a lot of, and that's the opportunity that you have. People coming in by the droves across the border to come get, because they don't care, because they want to get here because they'll never had that opportunity in any other country. Every other country regulates how much you can do.
Right.
They regulate that. You're not going to have all these businesses and all that kind of stuff. There's different stipulations and things for everybody in different countries. They don't have that here. And these people and people coming across the border, they see that. And that's why they want to come over here.
Right.
So, it's so when people say, well, America ain't all that. Okay, well, go live in Kenya is a beautiful country, but you go there and live.
Yeah.
Because your chains and your they don't go for that there. Them tribes ain't having that. Okay. No, they're not. I mean, and they're very sophisticated and smart. Most Kenyans speak 6 or 7 different languages.
Yeah, most people in Africa, people in Africa speak their native language. They have a tribal language. They'll speak the national language, and then on top of that, they got to learn English. So they come over here and they're like, "All you speak is English? Like, what's wrong with you?"
We used to always in college. Africans used to always talk about us. Cause they like, y'all don't even get what y'all got. Y'all don't even understand what you got.
That's why they don't have a problem coming over here working 3 or 4 jobs. Like you said, back to the mentality. We really got to work on our mentality as a people, because other Africans come here from all over the world. They don't have a problem working. They don't have to see anything wrong with working. They'll work 20 hours a day if they have to.
And they also they come over. What we have to start instilling in our children is to not just, if we got to start as parents. We got to start recognizing that every child is not going to go to college, and if we recognize that, then we need to make sure that we get them involved early. In skill. I tell people all the time, when you have one of my partners, he is going to have a baby soon. Okay, I don't care if it's a girl. I'm gonna have a boy. I know for sure. I think both of them have boys, but whatever the case.
Yeah.
If one had a boy and one had a girl, I don't care. They getting Lego sets.
I love that.
Okay, they getting Lego sets. They getting Monopoly games, and they're gonna get a credit card. A low credit card. That's what Auntie Robin gives. That's her gift for children. My great godchildren, my godchildren had kids now. They married and everything, got kids. I never did give out PlayStations. Forget that. That stuff don't do nothing. You need to be able to have an engineering set of mind. You need to have a skill set of mind. If you start that stuff early, my best friend's son, he can put together a Lego set for like a kid because they go by the ages. So for like a 6th grade, he's not even in 6th grade. Okay, he's putting them together in an hour.
That's awesome.
Okay, you don't have to have STEM and STEL. The stuff is STEM and STEM. You don't have to have that. You just
STEM
get
and STEAM,
yes, STEM and STEAM. Yeah, you don't have to have that. You can get Lego sets and a Monopoly game and some. And let me tell you something else you do. Get them a domino sets. You want to teach your kids how to how to do multiplication.
Mm-hmm.
Dominoes.
I like that. Thank you for that teaching tip.
That's how
I did. Yeah, my kids. I have dominoes now. That's one of the prizes that I give away. And I learned as a teacher, I stopped giving away, like, for the kids who just have extrinsic values. I started just giving away toys and stuff. Like every single thing I gave was with a purpose. It was all academically related. So that could be flashcards, bingo, alphabet bingo, number bingo, whatever I was giving, it was going to be related to academics. I'm like, I'm done giving out toys and nothing that's going to help these kids learn. So I use every opportunity, including prizes.
Give them a biology,
microscopes, all of that.
All that kind of stuff. Give them stuff that's going to prepare them for life. Because I'm gonna be honest with you. Yeah, everybody wants $15 an hour, but $15 an hour ain't gonna do nothing. When they get through taking the tax and everything out, you ain't getting no money.
That's still not a living wage.
It's still not a living wage. And if people knew that, they wouldn't ask for that. Because the whole thing is, I want to make a living wage. Well, why would you ask for a number that's not going to make you a living wage?
Right.
So if they knew better, they would ask the pertinent questions. They would ask for the right things. And so that's what you have is people just pacifying folks, knowing good and doggone well that's not going to do anything for them.
Well, what they're going to do now, they probably will not cap minimum wage on $15. They're just going to get a robot to do it. You don't want to flip $15? Yeah, they're already doing it. We'll just make a robot. We ain't got to pay you nothing. Bye.
Little Caesars doing. They make the pizza, put it in the thing.
Yeah.
They don't have to deal with you if they don't want to.
They don't have to pay the health benefits. All they have to do is repair the little robot when it breaks down.
Yep, and the robot. I mean, that's where we going. So
that's the direction we're moving in. So this whole service industry that our people have been depending on for so long, it's going to be coming to an end at some point. And like you said, that was your biggest point: self-sufficiency.
You gotta have 7 different streams of income. I'm still working on my 7.
I'm working. If I could just do 5, I'm doing well.
I got 2 more. I got 2 more things I have to get, but I think I got them though.
You're a lot further than a lot of the rest of us.
I started. I mean, my dad. My first job ever in life was a lemonade stand. My dad built me a lemonade stand, and he was my investor.
Yeah, we started my dad got us candy from Sam's Club, and we just go around selling candy in the neighborhood. We did well. That was
let me tell you guys something too. When you hear of a kid on the news that is selling candy from a little stand or something, go support them kids.
Absolutely.
Go support them, even if they're on the other side of town. I'll be like, where they at? Right, because I'm telling you, that's the beginning of entrepreneurship. And if you buy that candy from them, you may not even eat it. You may give it to somebody else or something else because you want to die, whatever the case may be. But if you do that for that kid, that's going to teach that kid that I got something, I can sell something. I don't have to always go to school. It's a lot of millionaires that only got a high school education. That's it.
Yeah.
And they don't have all this school debt.
Exactly. Yeah. And this debt is important, not having to pay it back.
So
Bill Gates, he dropped out. Some of your biggest millionaires, Bill Gates, he dropped out of college, and so did Zuckerman. I don't think he finished Harvard. I think what happened is he was working on Facebook at Harvard, and I think he got kicked out.
Yes,
something happened to school. Yeah, something happened. Probably like he's making too much money. Get him out of here.
I mean, you hear about it all the time. People who making, $3, $4, $5, $6, $700,000 a year.
Yeah,
they don't have degrees. They got other streams of income. I mean, it's people on Facebook who just advertise and they make all this money.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's just, I mean, there's different levels, but we have to teach our kids that education is a key. It's a key.
Yeah.
But it's not the only key. Okay. So you have other options. And I think when we start teaching that and bring back skilled trades, the average electrician is making $300,000 or $400,000.
Absolutely. Woo! Don't get me started on that. That's still tradesman.
A seasoned electrician is
Look, shoot, plumbers every time they come over here.
Plumbers.
Mom don't want to call them now because she knows we got to pay some money.
The little people in the truck come and do your sewage system.
Roto-Rooters, all these people.
All that kind of stuff. Goodness. So I think the biggest thing we did was took skilled trades out of the school. Mm-hmm. It used to be a part of the high school thing that you had a chance to learn, did you want to do a skill or something like that? It gave kids options. When we took it out, you just told kids, okay, all you can do is get an education. Well, every kid is not going to get a 4-year degree.
Right, absolutely.
So that's going to automatically cut them out of getting certain type of jobs. It just automatically does. So we have to bring back skilled trade. We have to do that. We have to teach our kids that there's other things that they can do, that they can make a good living. And you may still have to take some schooling. You may have to take a couple of classes or something like that. But it's not like it's a 4-year college. It's this guy on Facebook. I love him. He owns an insurance company. Mm-hmm. And he actually took his nephew. He called him his nephew's son. Mm-hmm. And he took him because he didn't know what he wanted to do with life.
Yeah.
So he said, "Listen, it's COVID. I'm gonna take him." And he took him out to California with him. MJ Harris, that's what it is. And he has a insurance company. And he told him, "Listen, you gonna live here. You are gonna have to do something. You gonna have to work. I'm gonna teach you.
You had to help me do something."
You know what I'm saying? Not that he needed his money, because that little bit of money at the beginning wasn't gonna pay for nothing. But he instilled in him that, listen, your uncle has a multi-million-dollar insurance company. You need to be working for me. You got the head of the hill right here at your feet. Mm-hmm. That little boy is making so much money. And he told him on top of that, he said, "What you gonna do? We're gonna put you in Harvard Extension, okay, so that you can take some extension classes on economics."
Good.
So he's not gonna get a degree. He'll have that Harvard Extension. They give him, I think they give out certificates.
Mm-hmm.
From Harvard. But you can take them online, and that's what he's doing. He's taking them online. He goes to school for one or two, and then he takes the rest of them online. But he's getting a good education, okay? But he has experience also, and he's making a ton of money now. Now he's telling his uncle, "Listen, what you want me to pay?"
He said, "I ain't never going to school."
He loved it.
Didn't forget the degree.
He didn't learn another way. He didn't learn that if I apply myself, then I can do something else. And that's all the people who come from other countries, that's what they do. Some of us do some of them do go to college, but a lot of them, that's why you see a lot of Hispanic people. They have lawn companies. They have all the labor that we don't.
Yeah, they go into the skilled labor, some of them do.
Right. They do, so when some of these companies are making so much money, they got contracts. Mm-hmm. That's what I tell you. You got to learn. You got to go to school and learn the game, at least some of it.
Yeah.
Okay? You got to go and learn some of the game, because the game changed between me as a young child cutting the grass in my neighborhood and making that loop. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It's totally different when I have a company with a license and now I get contracts. Mm-hmm. So now I'm in bed with a company to do their lawn 3 and 4, 5 years. Mm-hmm. Now I get another one and I'm doing it for 3 years. I get another one. I'm doing it for 10 years. I get another one. Now what you have? Consistent income. Now you got consistent income.
And I met a lady recently. She actually owns a cleaning business, and it's prison proof. She didn't tell me why she was in jail, why she went to prison. I didn't ask her. Wasn't any of my business. She's like, "Hey, I had contracts for cleaning. I have my own cleaning business. They send you leads." She's with some company that sends her cleaning business leads. I went to prison. I came out. I still have my contracts. I went right back to work. I was like, I ain't never heard of no job like that. I'm like, shoot, I need to go get me a couple of cleaning clients.
Probably when she went in, she said, "Listen, you're gonna have to run it until I get out.
Yeah,
you better not lose a dime of my money." Okay.
Didn't lose any money. She went in and I said, "No, wait a minute." I said, "This business prison proof." I don't know if she's doing anything, but I'm like, I said, because that's a problem in our community. A lot of Black boys and men can't get a job when because they have a record now.
Mm-hmm.
So hey, there's something we can show people how to do stuff, get a trade, or cleaning or something, which I consider a trade, because a lot of people don't know how to clean properly, or sanitizing. COVID, it's opening up a whole new ball game where you can come and say, hey,
I was doing that last year.
I sanitize, against COVID. They feel like they're not doing that but spraying some Lysol. But it's all marketing. And some of these people, they're coming out like gangbusters. I mean, like, we have in Detroit $1 million cleaning companies. It's crazy. And because they say they clean and sanitize against COVID.
Right. And but look, hey, I even use it for my sellers. If I have a buyer that's buying a house from somebody, I tell them, listen, the seller clean it out. I said, listen, before you go in, we're gonna have it cleaned, and then we'll have it COVID. When they go back, when they get ready to go in the house, it got a sticker on the door. They got to break the seal. Oh,
wow!
People love you.
Yeah, really. And you can go buy a sticker from
my cleaning post that. I just say, listen, what y'all need? They go, what we gonna do? I said, offer COVID cleaning. So I'm like, well, ain't no COVID. Yeah, I called up a professional.
I mean, they in Crane's business, Detroit, how they coming out gangbusters. They blew out. Yes.
Now, to this day, I don't know what COVID cleaning really is.
You and me both still trying to figure that out.
Some people told me it was nanobites and all that. Okay, well, that's fine, because my science is limited. Okay, but whatever it is, when you say I'm gonna COVID clean your house because I'm thankful that you use me to your home, yeah, like, oh, you my girl. Let me tell you,
It's crazy though.
You gotta have, but we gotta teach our children to be creative minded. And we have to teach them to think outside the box. We got to teach them to be strategic.
Yeah.
Because every time a door closed, another one opened. And that's scripture. So every time one closed, another one opened.
Yeah. I mean, we've been basically
you just got to find it. You got to look and see what door is opening. And
there's opportunity all around us. I mean, it is the amount of opportunity that's out right now. It's unbelievable. Like I said, anybody who's unemployed right now, it is definitely by choice, because it's like everybody and their mama got a for hire or for sale sign in their window. So it's no excuse not to be working right now.
I remember I did shipped. I did ship just because I just wanted to do something. I ain't gonna lie, I love money. That's why I'm an economist. I love money. So I said, shoot, all these people making this money. My friend told me she was making this money. I said, how much you make? She said, weekend I make about $600. What? She said,
wait a minute, doing what now? What you saying?
Groceries.
Oh shit. Okay, that's the name.
Girl, I was like, you lying. She said, yeah, bro. She said, shoot, I work Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Oh, $200 a day. And then they don't have enough people. So shoot, they had this whole list. You can just you can get down to people, and they pay you time. They pay you double and a half or triple and a half as it get later and later.
So how's shit working out? Because I hadn't heard of it.
No, she had quit. She quit now. We all quit. But when we was doing it, it just came out, girl. We was working that stuff, child. We was trying to see who could make the most money a weekend. Okay, that's how competitive it was. It was me. It was like me and two other people. And we was like, shoot, I'm gonna try to pay my this with that. I'm gonna try to pay my mortgage. I'm gonna try to,
that's what I'm doing now. First time income, putting it towards debt.
Right, we must have been sell a house, and some of us were working, and then we just be blow money. My friends had husbands, they was like, they husbands like, yeah, she bringing in the loot, she making all that money.
Oh, Lord.
That's the groceries. She's delivering groceries. That was I'm like, my God. That's why I said there's no excuse for. I understand you getting behind when it comes to your rent and stuff. Yeah, things happen, stuff happen. We had these horrible floods. I get it. Okay. Right. But you should not be 18 months, 12
years, right?
14. No.
If nothing else, save the money. A lot of people, they could have bought a house by now. They could have got something from the land bank or a tax sale, foreclosure, something.
And then another thing that the landlords are saying too is that some of these people got PPP loans and didn't have, I said, well, if that just makes it worse. Because because now, so it's just like, so they need to, October 3rd, it's every time they extend it, you just holding up the inevitable.
Well, I will say that a lot, there is a lot of fraud. Anytime you have all of this free money floating around from the government, people are going to try to find loopholes, but you best believe that the IRS is going to find out who has been. It might take them 1 to 2 or 3 years because the government, like you said, it's a bureaucracy, can be slow. But they are going to find out who is stealing money, and they are going to make sure that they get their money back. And it might even be with interest. So all these people that have been out here partying with this stimulus money, or you claiming child's credit, knowing you ain't got no kids, or your kids are grown,
are we still
going to get their money back?
Ain't nobody learned a lesson from that yet. We quit doing that one.
They're trying to say you got a kid and you ain't got no kids. You got a dog.
Somebody else's baby. Oh God.
Trying to claim other people's kids.
I mean,
they will find you out.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine I said, well, who got a job? Who said they got a business? They ain't got one. But I couldn't figure it out because under the Trump administration, you had to have an EIN number. But I guess when he changed it, okay, when Biden changed it, he said you could do it with Social Security numbers.
Oh Lord. You can have an EIN number and still not be doing nothing. I got a whole bunch of EIN numbers. That don't mean
but at least you got an EIN number. You legally have as long as you have a tax ID number, you legally have a business. Okay. So if you got that, then that's fine. At least you're covered. You got a business. Yeah. That's what PPP was for, businesses.
Right.
But if when you open it up to the Social Security number.
Yeah, anybody can apply then.
That's anybody.
Yeah.
So that's, so I think that's what happens. So you got a lot of people who, they just
committing fraud right now.
They said they had a business and
employees, because it's supposed to be for employees. Let's be clear. Which you can actually be self-employed and you can be your only employee and you can get yourself.
And get 20
but with this fictitious business, you say
I'm the only one.
Right.
I'm in my house sewing some clothes. Nobody else in my house.
And the only job they got is filling all of these forms out there so they can try to get some money.
But that's what happened when you open it up to just all you need is
anybody that mama can apply,
Right. But then but they also run the risk of, now that you have a Social Security number, if you were getting any other state benefits or anything like that, they can see. And if you don't have any, especially if you get like any other checks, now they can see all that. But the governor just said they just allowed 300. They said they're not going to even prosecute. They said they thought they found 350,000 people or whatever, but they said since the system didn't work, since the computer system didn't work or something, they were just gonna let it go because it's too many people. You don't have enough people to investigate all that, and you don't have enough. Even if you put them all in jail, we're gonna put them.
Exactly.
So after a minute, it don't matter how long you keep investigating it. It don't matter. They already know, right. So they're just not gonna deal with it because it's too overwhelming.
Yeah.
So I know people say, "Oh, you're gonna get caught." I'm like, I don't, not unless you done some, and it is some people that done some
a lot
major money, but 20 grand.
20 grand is a lot, girl. That's some people's salary a year. 20 grand ain't nothing to play with. But they're gonna get the big dogs first, and then if they need,
they ain't gonna come after all them folks. Yeah, they got 20,000. They ain't gonna worry about that fucking people. That I think anything, to be honest, because they're not even getting real paperwork on anybody.
Yeah.
If you got less than 150,000, you're not even really asking for nothing. So. And that's why I said I think you got to look at it. If it was just to us, it seemed like it's a lot of money, but to the country, I'm gonna spend more money trying to get 20,000, knowing I ain't gonna get it.
Right.
You're not gonna get it back. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So why would I spend money on that when I can go after the bigger people who I know I probably can. We could take their business, we can prosecute.
Right.
You're not gonna spend that type of money on somebody who just saying it
costs too much, and that makes sense.
It doesn't balance out. But
well, thank you so much, Robin. I tried to end a couple times. So everybody, welcome to our longest podcast so far, the DBAC podcast. But it was great.
We're still live. Oh my God.
Yeah, we've been on this whole time. We are still live, So we will be in touch. I will see you on the 17th at our real estate investment powwow or roundtable. And I'm still coming to your doggy party, so don't forget to send me the invite. This is my first doggy party I won't be attending. No, I do not have a dog right now. Robin's back and borrow one of hers.
You can
so we will be in touch. I have so enjoyed having you as a guest. I knew it was gonna be good. I know something is good. It was so good. So if you all would like to see Robin's other podcasts, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's under my name, Nancy O'Neill, and then you just click on DBHG. You can see all of our former podcasts. Please subscribe. We need more subscribers. We want to hit 100 really soon. So make sure if you have not subscribed that you subscribe. Take a look at our website, dbhg.org, and we will see everybody on Thursday. Bye, everybody. We're going to continue this conversation on Thursday with Tanisha Wilson with GDRA, the Greater Detroit Realtors Association. So we'll look forward to having her as a guest. All right. Thanks again, Robin. Everybody have a good evening. Bye-bye.
Blessed, everyone.